From hours in a day to centuries in an age, we're talking about time today on Golarion in depth. Time on Golarion progresses about the same as it does in our real world. There are 7 days in a week and 12 months in a year, although these names may be different than what we are used to. Each day has 24 hours, and each month has the same number of days as the corresponding month in our own calendar. This makes conversion very easy. The majority of Pathfinder's adventures take place in the Inner Sea. The Inner Sea tracks the year as Epsilon Reckoning. Epsilon Reckoning begins when Eridan raised the Starstone from the Inner Sea, marking year 1 AR. Since time progresses the same in our real world as it does in the world of Golarion, conversion between the two dates is relatively easy. They are exactly 2,700 years ahead of us. That can be seen in the published dates. For example, when Tyrant's Grasp was released in 2019, the year of Tarbafon's ascension or freedom was in the year 4719 AR. I should also note that the nations of Tainjia observe the imperial calendar, IC. The imperial calendar begins with the foundation of Yangxing, Tainjia's first empire, in the year -2500 AR. But now things get a little more complex. In Book 1, Reign of the Winter, entitled Rasputin Must Die, published in 2013, players travel from Golarion to Earth, and the Earth year is 1918. So it was published in 2013, the Inner Sea date was 4713, but the date they traveled to Earth was 1918. So now we have a few different times. We have the real world Earth date, which is the published date. We also have Epsilon Reckoning, we have the Imperial Calendar, and we have this fictional Earth date, which corresponds with when things take place in Golarion. This chart shows various ages throughout the Golarion timeline, as well as some real-life events and how they all correspond into one narrative timeline. Two major events to note as far as Golarion lore goes is Earthfall in the year -5293 AR, and the death of Eridan in 4606 AR. Yeah, all that's great, Mike, but what's that mean for me and my players? Well, I am so glad you asked. Understanding the history and the timeline of the setting may be important to some of your players, and especially if they have characters that have long lives spanning over hundreds of years. They may have seen and experienced some of these events on this timeline. But perhaps even more applicable to you as a GM is putting in holidays and events into your world. And how does your player characters interact, and what celebrations are important to them? Abydos, of course, brings the New Year and the celebration of Foundation Day in Epsilon. But it also brings about the Eternal Kiss, an 11-day festival held by the followers of Zon Kuthan, which involves soothsaying using the entrails of sacrificed victims. Calistriel brings about Merry Mead, a celebration of the approaching spring and consumption of last year's alcohol. And once every 4 years, it also brings about a Leap Day or Fateless Day, which has supernatural implications. During the month of Farast, you might see priests and worshippers of the Lady of Graves parading bodies down the streets on the Day of Bones. Those that travel the seas are certain to pay an offering to Gajre during his holy month, On the 7th, Current's Eve. Those who had fallen in the shining crusade against the whispering tyrant are remembered during Remembrance Moon, the first full moon in Desnus. The summer solstice is welcomed by many different faiths and different cultures in a variety of different ways. How does your character celebrate the summer solstice? And these are just a few recognized religions and holy days recognized throughout the Golarion. Different cultures and different faiths have their own unique observances, not to mention the different birthdays that your characters might have, or different special events that a local town might have. Let me know in the comments below how you've celebrated holidays within your game, or how celebrations have been a backdrop or a point of intrigue for your players. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you are able, please help me out with Patreon. Until next time, happy gaming.